changing your life one story at a time. This is the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast with Editor-in-Chief Amy Newmark.
Hey, it's Amy Newmark with your daily dose of Chicken Soup for the Soul inspiration. It's Tip Tuesday, and on Tuesdays, I pass along what I think are the best tips from our stories. These are actionable ideas that you can use in your own life, ideas that are simple and universal. One of our slogans is that we're changing lives one story at a time. And that's what we do with these tips because they give you easy tweaks to change your lives for the better. Today's tip comes from Elaine Bridge, who made a simple suggestion in her story called Every Day a Friday. We published this story in our best-selling book, Chicken Soup for the Soul, Think Positive. Elaine tells us that she would always celebrate Fridays. She would drop off her son at school. She would pick up a fancy coffee at Starbucks, and then she would take a longer route home, a more scenic road, sipping her fancy coffee along the way. And she would find herself smiling all day because it was Friday, and Fridays were special. Later in the day, Elaine would pick up her son at school, and they would drive around, noticing all the signs of Friday celebration in the college town they lived in. The kids were out on the lawns, the parties were starting up. Everyone loves a Friday. But then one day, Elaine had a doctor's appointment on a Tuesday, and she happened to get good news at that appointment about a medical situation she had been worrying about, but she got the all clear, and she came out of that doctor's office happy and relieved and noticing all the signs of spring around her, flowers blossoming, birds singing, bright sunshine warming her back. She was ready to celebrate, and what better way than a cappuccino? But then she remembered. It was only Tuesday, and special coffee was reserved for Friday. Elaine says, suddenly I realized how ridiculous that line of thinking was. Why should Fridays be any more special than any other day of the week? Why waste 6 days while waiting to rejoice on the 7th? And a few minutes later, Elaine was walking back to her car with a big grin on her face and a special coffee in her hand. After she turned her Tuesday into a Friday with that special coffee, Elaine had an epiphany, and she wrote the following in her story. It's how many of us live our lives. We're waiting for conditions to be right before we allow ourselves to enjoy our time here on earth. We'll rejoice when the car is paid off, or we'll enjoy life when we're finally able to retire. And in that waiting, we waste so much of life and the happiness that can be found in our todays. What if we moved a little of that Friday feeling into our rainy day Mondays, our gloomy Tuesdays, and our midweek Wednesdays? I totally agree with her, and I have a great example from my own marriage. My husband is from Brooklyn, and therefore he's a complete bagel fanatic, and he eats a bagel almost every morning, but he used to eat his favorite kind of bagel, an everything bagel, only on the weekends. Now, it makes no sense. They cost the same amount, not a penny different. They have the same number of calories. They take the exact same amount of time to prepare, but for some reason, he would only allow himself to have everything bagels on the weekends. I finally convinced him that he could make every day an everything bagel day. And it was quite a revelation to him. So I understand what Elaine discovered about her special coffees. So go for it. Choose your own little thing and make every day a Friday. I'm Amy Newmark. Thank you for listening to the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast today. We're getting great word of mouth, and we have listeners all over the world now. And I'd be grateful if you'd share the podcast with your own friends and family. I'm really looking forward to sharing another story with you tomorrow, which is Wow Wednesday. The story is from our Miraculous Messages from Heaven book, and you won't be disappointed. And if you'd like to read more stories and life tips from the best-selling book I mentioned today, Chicken Soup for the Soul, Think Positive, please go to our website, chickensoup.com.